All right, welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Monday, March 26, 2018. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Let's go ahead and get right into some space news. Take a look at our solar wind speed is at 484.3 kilometers per second with a density of 5.8. Looking at our sun, there are 0 sunspots to report. Once again, 0 sunspots, again, with no solar flares, of course, with no sunspots. Total of 48 days so far for 2018. We're on a 7-day-in-a-row stretch now without sunspots. KP indices are at a quiet 2, and they've also, the 24-hour max is also at a quiet 3. Looking at our coronal hole, goodness gracious. We are exiting out of some solar wind stream that we had yesterday. We had slight storm conditions. Today, we are looking at a coronal hole in the northern part of our star. Does not expect it to be anything major as far as any kind of geomagnetic storms that are in the future for us. Just taking a closer look at this coronal hole, and we should see the effects of this sometime Friday or Saturday, and if any at all, with the coronal hole this high up, we're just going to experience brushes against our magnetic field. So nothing really to report on this one here. In other words, it's going to be quiet for our sun. Okay. Moving along a little bit here, I want to go to a website here, What's Up With That, and found an article that I wanted to share with everybody today. Now, it says, Paris Agreement Climate Accord fails, CO2 emissions growing worldwide, Trump vindicated for pulling out. The Paris Climate Accords are looking more and more like a fantasy. Remember Paris? It was not even 2 years ago that celebrated climate accords were signed, defining 2 degrees of global warming a must-meet target and rallying all world's nations to meet it. And the returns are already dispiritingly grim. This week, the International Energy Agency announced that carbon emissions grew 1.7% in 2017. After an ambiguous couple of years, optimists hoped a representative of leveling it off or peak. Instead, we're climbing again. I'll stop right there. CO2 is climbing again. Now, if we are to take the work of John Casey, where he tells us that, and many other scientists as well, but he tells us that temperature rise comes first and then the CO2. This makes perfect sense to me. The warming stopped in 2016. Now we're still seeing the rise of CO2, which is common after a warming period. Okay, even before the news spike, not a single major industrial nation was on track to fulfill the commitments it made in the Paris Treaty to keep the planet under 2 degrees of warming, a level that was not all that long ago defined as the threshold of climate catastrophe. All signatory nations have to match or better those commitments. There are 195 signatories, of the which party following are considered in range of the Paris targets. Now, you know, these are the ones that are in range: Morocco, Gambia, Bhutan, Costa Rica, Ethiopia, India, and the Philippines. This puts Donald Trump's commitment to withdraw from the treaty a useful perspective. In fact, his spite may ultimately prove that this entire process was nothing more, in my opinion, than another way to put the blame on man. That way, the government was justified, the world governments were justified for taking more money in taxes. Now, this to me is huge, and you're sitting here saying, well, it's only 1.7%, Jake. Out of all of those people that signed, 7 countries are in the range. Not on target, but they're in range to possibly hit target. Okay? The fact that we're seeing CO2 growing, well, that's no surprise for us here. None at all. We are now 460 million tons reached a historic height last year. So as you see, the numbers are going up in CO2, just like Casey and other scientists have told us that we will first see temperature rise, and then after that we see CO2 rise as well. And that's what it's doing. And that's what it's been doing. So again, another great article posted by What's Up With That, helping us understand what this Paris Climate Accord really was, and why people should not give Trump such flack about this, because the big picture of this whole thing now, he pulled out of this accord. And out of all the people that got involved with this, nobody has met the target that they set for this agreement 2 years ago. Nobody. So it's a failed accord because the science they're trying to use is not real. They think they can control the climate on the planet. They think they can control the temperature on this planet. They're going to find out real soon who's all in control, and that's the sun. Anyway, moving along here. Got to Ice Age now. Indiana record snowfall beats, look at this, previous record by almost 150%. Pardon me. They've had a record snowfall of more than 9 inches for today's date, which was March 24th. That beats the record of 6.2. If you ask me, they slaughtered that record. Other snow totals for the date included 10.5 in Claremont, 9 inches in Eagle Creek, 8.8 inches in Plainfield, and 7.2 inches in Greenwood, which is a suburb of Indianapolis, about 40 minutes southeast. My brother used to run a Texas Roadhouse out there. Those areas are not typically, pardon me, are not typically getting this kind of snow this time of year. We're looking at flowers and getting ready to start the mower up. Continental cooling. Just more evidence that we are cooling and not warming. But once again, you won't see this. This map will get altered by the time it comes out to the public. Of course, they'll put the whites replacing the blue. Says the media may be yelling about global warming, but you were aware that the land itself and the land we're actually living on is cooling. Take a look at this land map from NOAA for the month of February. First, you need to disregard the gray areas because NOAA says they represent missing data, of which there is a lot on this map. And absolutely, this is awful. And the entire Antarctica is gray, except for the edge. Most of Africa is gray. Most of South America is gray. Canada, Greenland, all that is gray. So when you take all that out, take all the ocean temperatures out, well, and look at the land temps. And I count for the month of February, which we did see a very warm spike on the East Coast here in the United States, the South and the Southwest, obviously. And then we had a bunch of really dark blues. Same thing here in Europe and Russia, Eurasia. Australia, you had about a half and half. So when you do take out the gray and ignore the gray and look at this map right here, to me, I see way more cooling in the month of February. Now, a lot of you folks are saying, well, Jake, February, Northern Hemisphere is winter. That's true. But we still see areas of warm spots as well, just like we do here on the East Coast. But for at least for this month, we did see that the cold air did dominate. And I bet you, I just bet you, if this gray area was actually revealed, we would see a lot more neutral and light blue colors on this map. But again, this goes with that Paris Accord. That whole excuse was to have a reason to justify taxing everybody. And if NOAA came out with a map that didn't have the gray on this, people would start asking questions. Why are we being taxed? What's going on? But this is the way to play with the public. So I guess we'll take the gray. At least we get what we get, right? All right, take another look here. I just wanted to go. There's some really good. I really like this site. I've been going here a lot here lately. Just very brief headlines, and then he puts a little article, his little thoughts on it, and possibly a link to these stories. But you know, this one, I made a big deal myself to Mari about it, and you know, she doesn't follow NASCAR. She does follow the Formula One, which is also very competitive racing. But it says here, climate change is even ruining auto racing and consequently beer sales, and that's true. The postponement at Martinsville Speedway came after upwards of 6 inches of snow fell in the Southwest Virginia region Saturday night. Snow began falling on the track Saturday afternoon, and several inches accumulated overnight. This was the first Cup Series race postponed by snow since March of 1993. So I had a feeling that it's been a long time since something like this had ever happened. And ironically, here we once again are talking about March of 1993. Didn't we have some pretty bad snowstorms in 93 before this date? So maybe that's some research Mari and I can tackle, try to look up some different stats from the 93 winter. All right, checking out some more here. I got Mari up here in a second. She's going to give us a little update on the earthquake situation. God love her. I'm up at 6:40 in the morning. I get my son off to school. And, you know, I just possibly, you know, wiped my eyes open. Just barely got them open, cleaned out. 6:40 in the morning. And here comes Mari. I'm pretty sure she didn't have both eyes open, but she sure got to the computer fast enough to get the information out on these earthquakes. I had just saw that we had 7.0 earthquakes. And Mari, you know, I love your hard work and dedication. I really appreciate the updates. And I just want to share that with everybody that, you know, you looked really cute this morning trying to find your way to the computer. Not yet awake, not had any coffee, just rushing to the computer. I'm looking at her and she looks at me and she says, Jake, there was 2 7.0s, okay? And fires up the computer. So without further ado, here is Mari. And give us a little update of what we do have so far on these earthquakes.
Well, there was one 7.0 and the other one was smaller. It was just I got 2 notifications for the 7.0. I was just like so happy. But there was 2 large earthquakes at relatively the same time. We had like the 6.4 and then the 7.0 got downgraded to a 6.8. Now, unfortunately, in PNG, I'm telling you, getting information is scarce. Basically right now you're dealing with a country that got hit with the 7.5 last year, or not last year. See, it's like my coffee hasn't sunk in from this morning or something. It's like I woke up too early or something. I don't know what it is. Okay, so February, we had the 7.5 earthquake there. Totally devastating. Still, they are assessing the damage. They still do not know exactly the extent of these small villages, what is going on. The death toll is up to 145. So right now many are injured. Just from that, there was an aftershock of 6.0 that killed another 11 people. And then there was another 6.7 that killed 25 more after that. So it's like boom, boom, boom. Ever since February, then the second week in March, and then, you know, today, and then even, you know, what, 2 days ago, there was a 6.8 on the other island, and very, you know, remote area, but it was shallow, and it was on land. So I'm concerned because I haven't heard anything really yet about it, because just like the 7.5, it took a certain amount of time for information to come out. So I got my eyes peeled for information. There are some relief reports. I know they're going to have an updated one coming out tomorrow. So I hope to have just a video following up everything tomorrow once that report comes out. The last report I read, there was about 250,000 people that were affected and that needed help. And then there was like another 20,000 totally like without homes and living in these like little like lean-to sheds and all that. There's reports of lawlessness in some of the heavily hit areas. There's a lot of reports. There's the death toll is rising now from, you know, they don't have any sanitation, any clean water. Food is scarce. A lot of the babies and children are getting sick. They're getting deathly ill from diarrhea, becoming dehydrated, and there's been reports of some actually passing away. I know organizations like UNICEF have made it on there. I'm not sure to what extent their relief efforts have been effective, but they are handing out clean water and tablets and trying to, you know, curb the devastation and just lack of everything. It's a bad situation there. So that's all I got right now. I'll probably do a more thorough update soon. I want to say hello to Region X Radio. I didn't know we were streaming on there live today, but we are. So anyone out there listening, hello. And definitely to our subscribers, check their station out. They have it on, they're all over the place. YouTube, Facebook, and regionxradio.com.
Yes, definitely welcome listeners from the regionxradio.com airwaves. We are glad to be a part of this organization being broadcasted. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of this. And here's the part of the show where I like to kind of get into the weather report real fast. I try to cover as much as possible, mainly in the United States. Not that I have anything against the UK or other parts of the world. There is a gentleman by the name of the Starman. Look him up on YouTube. His channel is in our description box as well. The Starman gives brilliant reports on UK weather. This man knows he knows the science when it comes to the grand solar minimum. He produces his own charts, his own graphs. He does his own research. A lot of the information that he uses to get the truth out to everyone is let's just say that it mirrors a lot of the other scientists out there who do have PhDs and are submitting peer-reviewed work. I do believe David's work would be looked at the same way. All right, so here we are in the middle of the country. Tuesday, we'll start this off. March 27th, we are starting to see a low-pressure system develop in the middle of the country. We do know that, unfortunately, that this forecast is kind of held together. I've been talking about this since last week, and you start to see it in Texas, which needs a lot of rain right now. So thankfully, they are going to get some of this action. It's going to be light compared to what the rest of the region will get. But Wednesday, you see they get, Tuesday into Wednesday, Texas gets a better shot at showers and thunderstorms. And as we move through into the week, later in the week, you see it's like this system, it fades away and comes back. It starts off pretty strong as well, but we start from Tuesday in the middle of the country. Mississippi Valley and the Ohio River Valley are about to get some heavy precipitation. And as we go into Wednesday into Thursday, that area of low pressure develops again. We're looking at 4 to 5, possibly 6 inches of rain in the deep south here, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. You see this reaches from the coast of the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to northeast Kentucky. So a huge swath of heavy rain coming into midweek to late next week. And then, of course, the south just continues to get drenched as this system will finally make its way off the coast by the 30th. So April Fools looks like it's going to be a quiet one. No, just kidding. It's April Fools. Here we have a potential snowstorm system possible. We're still going to have to watch this because the temperatures are going to be right on the cusp of possibly being an all-rain event, but it doesn't look very heavy at all. The Northeast, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, you guys are going to see a little bit of snow shower action. Nothing that's going to accumulate much. And that system also moves off rather quickly. Now, April 2nd, probably the best day of the month, and as far as the forecast goes. Besides that far northwest corner, which is still getting inundated with rain and snow, and they're used to that out there. But for the couple days in April, it only lasts maybe 24 hours. We start to see snow building up in the northern plains once again. Rain back to the Ohio River, Mississippi Valley by early week as well. And as you can see, this pattern, it looks like right now we're just going to continue to expect rain showers for every 3 to 4 days, a new system will develop and another one will move out. And boy, this does not look like it's going to be very dry. So enjoy early part of April, folks, because it looks like the 1st and the 2nd of April, even really with minus this system here in the northern plains in Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota, really all will be quiet. So expect very heavy rain this week. If you live in Texas, Oklahoma, and eastward from Indiana, Illinois, and parts of Missouri and Arkansas, all east, that southeast area right there, you guys expect heavy rain this week, early on Tuesday. I'm sorry, next week. I can't keep track of what day it is half the time.
It's one of those days for me today too, Jake.
Tomorrow, actually. The rain day, I'm positive. The 20, I just look at the dates and I can figure it out. Sorry, folks. You know, when you look at these all day long, sometimes you lose track of what day it is, so I do apologize. But no, starting tomorrow, Tuesday, we start to see rain build up again. Like I said, we could be looking at some very heavy precipitation. Flooding is likely along the Mississippi, and some minor flooding could be possible as well in the Ohio River Valley. So that's going to be the story for this week. We're going to watch that storm system mainly to kind of monitor the flooding situation there. As we know, the South, you know, really most of the country, except for California, Texas, you guys have seen some drought conditions. But the East and the Northeast, we've definitely, in the North, we've seen our share of precipitation for sure this year. And it's only March. So we're continuing a very strong forecast of very wet and seasonally uncool and uncool. Taking a look at the temperatures, as we talked about it yesterday briefly, actually Saturday, we do see spring this week. Much of the United States here, the lower 48, will be looking at spring-like temperatures all the week, except the north, the northern plains. By the weekend, you will start to see a drastic cool down. Same thing goes here for the Northeast and now the Ohio Valley. And by April 2nd, it will be cold enough to support some snow. Now, these models here, running this through, this GFS through, looks a little better. Saturday, we ran the models on the temperatures for the next 15 days, and it didn't look like spring was going to try to make its entrance anytime soon whatsoever. But looking at the temperature run right now, yes, we do see that polar air trying to make its way into the United States, but look, as we get into early April, folks, we're starting to see that temperature stay in the green all the way through the lower 48. If you remember Saturday night, we had temperatures in the Northeast that were going to be in the 30s for highs. Same thing in the Northwest and the Northern Plains. So this is definitely an improvement as far as looking at our temperatures coming into the next several weeks of spring. The South and Southeast, you guys are definitely going to have spring right now. But right now, as far as the Northeast and Northwest, we're getting there. But these temperatures definitely have improved as far as forecasting. Just in the last 2 days, we have seen, in my opinion, we've seen a huge difference. So that's encouraging. I don't know about you guys. Snow is beautiful and all, especially around Christmas. But when it gets April, I kind of like to not see any more of that white stuff laying around. So let's hope we can get some kind of warmth. I know a lot of you folks are itching to get out there and get those gardens planted, and rightfully so. We have to. We got to get going right now. We're already behind the 8 ball when it comes to growing for all you gardeners out there. Well, that's going to do it for me today. Mari, did you have anything that you wanted to mention before we head out?
No, I'm just gonna say people are asking about weather around the world. There's all kinds of stuff. We don't have a whole lot of time to report it all, but Friday we do have an extended live show planned. So, you know, if there's something you're inquiring about or have a question about, definitely just send me a message, drop a line in the comments, and, you know, we'll make it a speaking point for the longer show that we have planned on Friday.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm honored to even be asked to even speak of the weather of the world. And I'll be honest with you, with the complexity of the way the climate is changing as fast as it's changing, guys, you know, it's it's enough to keep up what's going on in the United States, and then to keep up with the entire world. We need to hire a team of researchers for real. There's so much going on. I've seen the headlines this week of the orange snow. Everybody's talking about that. You know, it's not that we didn't want to mention that, but I think that's a saturated story. Everybody knows why we have the orange snow.
I will say, like, if I can piggyback off that, like, there are people saying that's iron oxide dust from Nibiru, and it's not. It's from the desert, and it happens every year. And if you follow the headlines enough, year after year after year after year, you have to laugh, because you see it year after year after year after year. So,
all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. RadioX.com. Thank you once again for having us.
Region X Radio, Jake.
I said Region X Radio.
No, you didn't.
I know. That's why I got her around, folks. Keep me straight. RegionXRadio.com. Thanks again for tuning in. Everyone else, please like and share, and we'll talk soon.